Hi, I'm Phil Cooke. You know, the great writer in America here, Henry David Thoreau, said something interesting. It's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. It's what you see. And that is an incredible, really a great quote for today because we live in the most visual culture in the history of the world. Today's digital culture is quite remarkable. I mean, social media apps are all about visual, TV is all about visual, short videos, YouTube. We just live in a visual world. I sit on planes, I travel all over the world, and I sit next to people that have their iPad out or their phone, and they're watching movies, they're watching television programs, and very often they're watching short videos. The thing to understand is we live in a visual world. And I want to talk just for a few minutes today on how to become a more visual storyteller. You know, storytelling is incredibly important. I mean, since the earliest days of nomads sitting in the desert around campfires telling stories have become remarkably compelling. They're powerful tools that can change people's lives. In fact, today, if you look at the most famous movies, if you look at the most watched television programs, if the most watched streamed programs and online programs, you'll see they're all story-driven. Sure, documentaries are great, game shows are great, short videos are great, but the truth is people love story-driven media. And it's all about how visuals drive the story today. So understand, A, storytelling is important, but B, if you're going to be a successful storyteller, you need to understand how to be a more visual storyteller because that really does make the difference in the culture that we live in today. In fact, it's interesting that Google, the search engine, spends, they own YouTube, and they spend roughly $1 million a day just expanding their server space for all the short videos that are being uploaded onto it. In fact, in America, and certainly most of the Western world, short videos have become the number one marketing tool. Businesses use them, nonprofit organizations use them, churches use them, hospitals, medical centers use them. People are telling their story more and more with short videos, and the statistics about the viewers are quite remarkable. 52% of people that watch a short video want to find out more. I mean, what could that say about your business or about your idea, about your nonprofit organization? People want to know more after they see a short video. So I want to talk to you a little bit this morning about some of the techniques that I've discovered as a producer here in Los Angeles about how to become a more visual storyteller. Here's some things that I think you could do right now that will make a dramatic difference for you, whether you're speaking, whether you're doing videos, whether you consider yourself a filmmaker, a designer, or just a leader of teams. Keep in mind, when we talk about storytelling is a part of your daily leadership practice. It's one thing to tell an employee to do something. It's another thing to encapsulate that into a story or use that story because that will get them so much more motivated, so much more excited, so much more interested in doing what you need accomplished. So storytelling, let's just start off with the fact that that's an incredibly important tool. So how to become more visual in a culture that is more visual than ever? How do we become a more visual storyteller? Number one, what are the ways you can learn? When I was a young director, when I was a young television director, I would spend hours watching television with the sound turned off. It sounds crazy, but when you have the sound turned on television, on a movie, on a video, you get caught up in the story. But I discovered that when I would study television and turn the sound off, suddenly, because I wasn't caught in the story, I could start studying the camera shots, the angles, the way they cut from shot to shot, the composition of the shot, the lighting in the shot, how the actors moved. I'll tell you something, if you start watching videos, if you're a speaker, watch speakers without the sound, with the sound turned off, because that will show you how they move, how they react to the audience. You'll see things you never saw before. So you may be a video producer, great. Watch short videos that you admire. If you're a documentary producer, great. Watch documentaries you admire. If you're a television producer, great. If you're a speaker, whatever you do, start watching that with the sound turned off because suddenly you'll understand the speaker's relationship with the audience. You'll understand how shots go together, the structure of a program, how they're composed. It will dramatically change the way you look at being a storyteller. So start watching media, whether it's online media, whether it's television, whether it's movies. Start watching it without the sound, because then you'll start seeing things you never dreamed of before, and you'll start understanding what goes in to making a powerful, compelling visual story. The next thing I would tell you is slow down. You know what? We live in this incredibly rushed, hyper-productive culture, hyper-competitive culture, and very often we just blow through things. We just blow through things, and we often need to just take our time, slow down, and see things we would have never seen in our daily life. It's such an important principle, such an important principle. I say, think like a film director. One of the things I've learned in directing over the course of my career is I stop and see things all the time that other people don't see. I'll be with a group of people and I'll notice something. Maybe it's a sign. Maybe it's a person. Maybe it's just a scene in a downtown area. And people in the group think, I never noticed that. I never saw that. It's because I've gotten into a habit of seeing things other people don't see. And that's taught me to be a much more visual storyteller because I understand how people react with things. I understand how things look. One of the things I get the biggest kick out of is just watching people. I mean, you can do this at a shopping mall. You can do this downtown. You can do it at a conference. Just sit back, watch how people react to each other, react to circumstances. I've learned more just watching people than anything else. So slow down. Number 2, slow down. Take your time. Start observing things you never observed before. In essence, start thinking like a film director because it will make a dramatic difference for you. The third thing I would encourage you to do to become a more visual storyteller is look at museums. I'm a museum hound. I'll tell you, whenever I travel, I try to find a local museum to visit. Number 1, it's going to increase your knowledge about everything. But number 2, museums are showcases of the visual. Whether it's paintings, whether it's sculpture, whether it's other artifacts, it could be musical instruments, it could be timepieces. I was in Beijing, China recently, and we went to a museum of antique timepieces, very rare timepieces. I'm just a big museum hound, and I love going to find things in museums because it shows me another way of looking at the world. I want to see how a great artist looked at things 100 years ago. I want to see how another contemporary artist today looks at the world. I can learn so much when I study how other people see the world. And I honestly don't know of a more visual place to see other perspectives on life than a museum. Get in a habit of finding the museums in your area and going to visit them. And another, the fourth thing I would say is start using presentation software in your talk. So for instance, if you're a speaker, if you're a business leader, start using PowerPoint, Keynote. There may be other apps in your area that you use more for presentations, but one of the things that using Keynote taught me is, first of all, I want to be a great speaker without any presentation software. I want to be a great speaker without using Keynote, a great speaker without using PowerPoint. But the truth is, once you become a solid speaker, once you become a really good, compelling speaker, think about how visual software can enhance what you do. I love doing presentations because I can show, I'm a communicator. And I'm usually talking at media conferences about how we failed as communicators and how we could do better trying to communicate our message. So presentation software allows me to use examples of signs, documents, art, all kinds of things where people failed at trying to communicate their message. So I think just learning to do that will make a big difference for you. Start learning presentation software. Number 4, use it, PowerPoint, Keynote, whatever. Start getting in a habit because I think it'll make a dramatic difference for you. The 5th thing I'd encourage you to do is experience life. Experience life. I tell you, I think so many people grow up, they go to school, they immediately get a job, they start focusing on their career, and don't ever take the time to really experience life. My dad was a pastor when I was growing up here in the United States. And as a kid, I would go with my dad to the hospital to see families that were ill or were dying. I would go to funeral homes to see families of people in our church who had had a loved one die. And I would go to the funeral home. And very often while my dad was trying to comfort a family, I was an 8-year-old kid. I just wandered around the funeral home. And I got used to seeing dead bodies. I got used to seeing how people were embalmed. I got used to seeing behind the scenes there. My dad was also a Golden Gloves boxer when he was young. He taught me about the boxing world and how that works. He was in the U.S. Marine Corps. He was a soldier, and he taught me how that worked. I was avid when it came to going to summer camp and experiencing hunting trips. Growing up, I wanted to see the world. And I probably filmed in about 65 or 70 countries around the world. So I've seen so much about how life happens. And guess what? It's made me a better communicator. It's made me a better storyteller. I've been on the streets of Delhi, India. I've been up the Amazon, deep into the headwaters of the Amazon, swimming in places where I had to smack the water with a boat paddle to scare the piranha away long enough so I could go have a bath. I've been in deserts in the Middle East. I've been all over the world, and I've seen so much. It's taught me how to communicate in a far more visual way. So I would encourage you, experience life. Take time off on weekends. Go visit. Help organizations. If there's a homeless organization near you, go work with them on a weekend. If there's an organization like the Salvation Army or some other group, some other nonprofit that does great social service, go help them. Go work with them. Go see another side of life that you've never experienced before, because suddenly that will give you an understanding of how the world works that you've never experienced before. There's a great documentary filmmaker, Werner Herzog, German documentary filmmaker that I've always admired. He's incredibly blunt. He's incredibly direct. He's incredibly creative. And he had a quote. I wrote it down because I wanted to read it to you in this lesson. I think is so incredibly important. He said he wrote a book, a great book called A Guide for the Perplexed, which I seem to spend a lot of my time being perplexed. But he wrote a book called The Guide for the Perplexed. And this is the way he viewed the need to experience the world. He said, the best advice I can offer to those heading into the world of film is not to wait for the system to finance your projects or others to decide your fate. If you can't afford to make $1 million film, raise $10,000 and produce it yourself. That's all you need to make a feature film these days. Beware of useless bottom-rung secretarial jobs in film production companies. Instead, so long as you are able-bodied, head out to where the real world is. Roll up your sleeve. Work as a bouncer in a nightclub, or a warden in a lunatic asylum, or a machine operator in a slaughterhouse. Drive a taxi for 6 months, and you'll have enough money to make a film. Walk on foot. Learn languages, and learn a craft or a trade that has nothing to do with cinema at all. Filmmaking, like great literature, must have experience of life at its foundation. Read Conrad or Hemingway, and you can tell how much real life has gone into those books. A lot of what you see in my films isn't invention. It's very much life itself, my own life. If you've seen an image in your head, hold on to it, because as remote as it might seem, at some point, you might be able to use it in a film. I've always sought to transform my own experiences and fantasies into cinema. Let me tell you something. Everyone looks, but not everybody sees. It doesn't matter if you're a filmmaker. You don't have to be a filmmaker. You can be a speaker, a business leader. You can be somebody who really wants to go to the next level in your career, whatever that may be. But learning to express those ideas through telling compelling stories is really the key. And in the generation we live in today, in this digital world, this digital revolution, a visual, the ability to tell those stories in a visual way is even more important. I can't stress enough that people are seeing today much more than they're reading. I talk to people, young people all the time who tell me, oh, Phil, I don't read books anymore. I watch movies or I watch YouTube videos. And I'm astounded at YouTube. There are videos for everything. I had to install a refrigerator in my house the other day. And I went on YouTube and there was a guy that had made a video on how to install a refrigerator. And millions of people are watching these today. So the bottom line in all of this is if you want to be a compelling storyteller, and I'll tell you, we all agree that telling compelling stories is the key to a successful business career, then we need to think more about how to do it in a visual way. So let's review. Let's just go over some of these suggestions because I really want you to understand and get deep into your spirit about what it means. Just practical stuff. Watch television with the sound turned off. Watch videos with the sound turned off. Watch movies with the sound turned off. It'll force you to look at how they're made, the composition, the structure, the visuals, and you don't get caught up in the story, and you'll walk away understanding the structure of being a visual storyteller. I'll tell you, it's a technique that people use here in Hollywood all the time, and I encourage you to use it yourself. Number 2, just slow down. Just take your time. So often, because we live in this world with mobile devices, when we're standing in line at a food store or waiting at the doctor's office or waiting for an appointment, we pull this out and start checking our email or other things. We could take that time and just start looking. Slow down. See what's around you. Take the time to see the world as it is, and it will make a dramatic difference. Number 3, check out museums. I can't say this enough. I just go to museums constantly because I believe that seeing how other people view the world will completely change the way you see the world and will open up you to new horizons. It's so important that we study and see museums and how other people have seen the world. The fourth thing is start using visual software presentations when you talk. When you give even a talk in a conference room to your team, or if you're speaking at a conference, think about how PowerPoint, Keynote, other software apps can really enlighten your presentation. So you're not just a guy standing there talking, you're illustrating it. And let me say this, when it comes to presentation software, it's not about words on the screen. Don't fill the screen with text. Fill them with pictures, illustrations of what you're talking about. I'll tell you, your point will hit home in a much, much, much more powerful way the minute you start using effective visuals to get your point across. And then the fifth point is experience life. Just like Werner Herzog's advice, start thinking like a film director. Start seeing things, doing things. Get a hobby. Doesn't have to be in your line of work. If you're an insurance executive, doesn't mean you have to get a hobby that has anything to do with insurance. You just need to see the world and what's going on outside your career. It will dramatically help you because you'll come back into your career with a new energy. I learned long ago that on weekends, I try as best I can. I can't always do this, but I try on weekends not to do my job, not to check up on email, not to work with clients. On weekends, I value that time to get away, to be refreshed, to come up with new ideas, to visit a museum, travel somewhere, because then on Monday morning, I come back ready to go. Otherwise, if I work through the weekend, I come back on Monday morning, I'm exhausted, I'm tired. I'm not going to be a very compelling storyteller. So that's the key. Get away, experience life. It'll dramatically really change the way you look at everything. Let's go back to Henry David Thoreau's comment. It's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. So here's my question for you. What are you making people see? When you talk to people in a conversation, when you give a presentation at a conference, when you're leading your team, what are you making them see? Are you exciting them? Are you motivating them? Are you helping them really catch a vision for what you want to accomplish with your company, with your organization, with your group? Your ability to help other people capture your vision, to help other people see your vision, is going to be really the key to your succeeding in your career, to you moving to the next level in your career and you making a difference in the lives of potentially millions of people. Remember, we live in a digital age. One YouTube video can be seen by millions and millions of people. You have the opportunity of sharing your visual story with millions and millions of people. Take the opportunity, study, focus, and learn how to make it happen. It will completely change the way you look at your career. It'll change your team, and it'll definitely change your future. There's a lot more information about being a professional communicator, particularly being a visual communicator, on my blog at philcooke.com, philcooke.com. You can subscribe to my weekly newsletter, which are my top blog posts. And if you do that, you can download a free ebook on creativity that I've written. But I'll tell you, my blog is the hub of what I do. I have a podcast on iTunes. I have a visual podcast at YouTube. I'd encourage you to go check either one out because they're filled with the kind of information you need as a communicator on how to make it happen, how to be more effective. So I'll see you at philcooke.com because it will give you the kind of resources you need to take your career to the next level.